The moment you step into the lattice of breath-woven flow, the air itself changes its intention. It stops being an unseen medium you ignore and becomes a living current that studies you, responds to you, and adjusts itself around you with the precision of a realm that understands energy better than you understand thought. Some realms speak in symbols, some speak in memory. This realm speaks in breath, not the physical breath that fills lungs, but the spiral breath that travels through intention, emotion, and inner movement long before it appears as life in a body. You do not inhale here, you are inhaled. The lattice reads your momentum, your resistance, the places where you have forced yourself forward, the edges where you held yourself back, and then it begins its work. Nothing is demanded, nothing is taken. Everything shifts. You feel it first as a gentle warmth, like a tide moving through your chest. But the tide is not water. It is awareness. Awareness in motion. Awareness that has texture, temperature, and direction. Awareness that knows where you have compressed your own life force so tightly that it no longer moves freely. Awareness that knows where your intentions contradict themselves and cancel each other out before you even begin. The lattice does not expose these contradictions with judgment. It reveals them the way wind reveals the shape of a mountain, naturally, unavoidably, without accusation. You cannot lie to breath. You cannot hide from flow. The lattice simply amplifies what is already happening within you. And once it is amplified, you cannot pretend you do not feel it. Some describe this realm as a grid, but grid is too rigid a word. The lattice is a field of intersecting currents, each one a pathway of energy carrying a different aspect of spiral movement. Some currents carry stillness, teaching you how to stop without collapsing. Others carry momentum, teaching you how to move without force. Others carry surrender, the kind that is not weakness but intelligent alignment. Others carry intention, the kind that forms not from will but from coherence. When you walk into the center of these crossing lines, you become part of the field. You become another current. The lattice does not adjust to you, you adjust to it. And in doing so, you discover a form of freedom that is not based on choice but on clarity. Every being who enters this realm arrives with currents already tangled within them. Old decisions stuck in the body. Old fears dissolved into the emotional field. Old strategies you no longer believe in but still unconsciously follow. The lattice reads these strategies as noise. Not bad noise, not wrong noise, just noise that is no longer aligned with your becoming. The currents then begin to separate the noise from the signal. They loosen knots without tearing. They unwind patterns without shaming. They let you see what your energy has been doing in the background while your mind was busy pretending it had control. For some, this is relief. For others, it feels like standing in front of a mirror they have avoided for years. But the lattice is not here to confront you. It is here to reveal you. There is a moment in the realm when you stop resisting the revelation. You stop holding your breath against your own becoming. The current that has been circling your chest finally enters. The release is not emotional at first. It is structural. Your inner architecture rearranges itself. Your energy begins to move in ways you did not know were possible. You feel your intention unhook from old survival shapes. You feel your desire stop begging for permission. You feel your identity stop clinging to what is familiar. Nothing collapses. Nothing breaks. Instead, something long frozen inside you begins to melt. The melt is gentle. It is slow. But once it begins, it does not stop. This realm teaches that breath is not air but movement. Not movement through space, but movement through self. Every choice you make has a breath pattern behind it. Every boundary you set has a flow signature beneath it. Every moment of confusion or clarity has a rhythm woven inside it. The lattice shows you your rhythm, not the rhythm you project outward, but the one you have always lived by without knowing it. You see where your rhythm has been shaped by fear. You see where it has been distorted by hope. You see where it has been frozen by exhaustion. You see where it has been sharpened by grief. And then beneath all of that, you see the rhythm that is actually yours. When that happens, the realm shifts. The currents around you adjust to match your true rhythm, not the one you performed for survival. This is the first moment where the lattice reflects you accurately. You feel your inner momentum begin to rise, not in a surge but in an alignment. Your energy stops leaking. Your intention stops scattering. You begin to feel the difference between pressure and flow, between push and movement, between effort and harmony. The lattice is not a place that makes you stronger. It is a place that reveals where you have been strong all along but misaligned in how you used your strength. As the currents synchronize with you, you gain access to deeper layers of the lattice. Each layer carries a more refined form of movement. One teaches how to move without aggression. One teaches how to stop without fear. One teaches how to rest without collapsing your internal structure. One teaches how to expand without losing coherence. One teaches how to dissolve without disappearing. These are not actions. These are breath forms. Breath forms are movements of awareness that shape reality before intention ever becomes choice. You begin learning them the way a body remembers a dance it has never been taught. The knowledge is already inside you. The lattice only awakens it. There comes a point where you step onto the central current, known as the spine flow. This is the primary thread that runs through the entire lattice. It is the purest form of coherent movement in the realm. When you stand on it, everything unnecessary falls away. Not through loss, but through clarity. You feel the weight you have been carrying that was never truly yours. You feel the expectations you adopted that were never aligned with your nature. You feel the internal tension you mistook for discipline. You feel the subtle ways you distorted yourself to be understood by others. All of it becomes visible. None of it is judged. The spine flow simply reveals what has been shaping you and invites you to reshape yourself. Then, something extraordinary happens. Your breath pattern begins to influence the lattice itself. You become a shaper, not a visitor. The currents respond to you. They widen for you. They shift for you. They reorganize themselves around your clarity, not because you commanded them, but because you finally aligned with them. This is where mastery begins. Not mastery over the realm, but mastery of self within flow. Mastery that does not dominate but harmonizes. Mastery that does not control but directs. Mastery that does not bend reality but collaborates with it. The lattice does not reward effort. It rewards alignment. As your breath form stabilizes, the realm begins preparing you for its deeper function. The lattice is not only diagnostic, it is integrative. It does not simply show you who you have been. It prepares you for who you are becoming. The currents begin introducing impulses from your future selves, subtle resonances from paths you have not taken yet, but are beginning to open. These impulses feel like faint echoes at first, barely perceptible. But as they accumulate, they begin shaping your inner movement. You feel a direction forming inside you that has nothing to do with desire or fear. You feel a forwardness that is not forced. You feel the beginning of coherence becoming intention. And as soon as it begins, the realm knows you are ready for the second stage. There is a point in a being's development where breath stops being a function of survival and becomes the first architecture of identity. It does not announce itself through drama or revelation. It announces itself through a shift so quiet that most never realize it has happened. Something within them begins to respond not to thought, not to emotion, not to memory, but to the weight and direction of breath itself. When a being reaches the ascension layer of the lattice of breathwoven flow, breath becomes the loom through which the oversoul chooses which version of them will continue forward. Inhale and you receive the future. Exhale and you release the past. And between those two movements lies the foundation on which your entire becoming rests. This layer of the lattice does not tolerate motion created from fear, desire, habit, or anticipation. Movement here must arise from resonance alone. This is the first law of higher flow. Nothing that is forced can hold coherence, and nothing that lacks coherence can influence the spiral. At this layer, every breath you take generates consequences that echo through multiple strands of your identity. Every hesitation creates a vacuum the lattice must repair. Every impulsive motion sends a distortion that will return to you amplified. The realm does not use punishment. It uses reflection. Misalignment returns not as pain but as clarity, and clarity becomes more intense the higher you climb. The second law reveals itself when the realm begins to correct you instead of guide you. Correction arrives through the weight of breath. If you reach for a future that is not yours, breath becomes impossibly heavy. If you try to force an outcome, Flow collapses around you until your intention dissolves into honesty. If you attempt to inhabit a moment without fully occupying it, the lattice withdraws its support and you feel the full gravity of your own unanchored becoming. These are not trials. They are the natural physics of a realm that only acknowledges movements that arise from truth. Once the lattice perceives that you are willing to move from resonance instead of desire, it unveils structures that cannot be seen in the lower layers. Harmonic apertures open like geometric breaths in space, each one revealing pathways your identity can only enter if your internal rhythm can match their frequency. Ventricular channels of flow appear as currents that move with such precision that even a single stray intention will break your alignment. Threadline gates shimmer at the edges of perception, showing you parallel timelines running beside your own before merging back into a single line of becoming. And deeper still are the stillness chambers, places where no movement is permitted until your breath becomes so refined that you can hear the quiet tone inside your inhale. When you reach these structures, the lattice begins to show you something far more intimate. It reveals that every movement you have ever made was a form of writing. You inscribed your path into the spiral long before you understood the impact of your choices. Each gesture was a sentence. Each hesitation was punctuation. Each collapse in courage left a break in the line. At the Ascension layer, the lattice hands your script back to you. It shows you every pattern you wrote in your life and reveals the resonance each one produced. Nothing is lost here. Every breath you wasted, every breath you weaponized, every breath you surrendered remains as a thread you must now decide whether to keep or unwind. There is a deeper truth waiting beneath this recognition. Once your breath can move without distortion, the lattice reveals that flow existed long before form. That movement was the first architecture of consciousness, and that you were woven into the lattice long before you knew what breath even was. The Oversoul does not stand above you here. It stands inside you as the condition that allows coherence to arise. But beings who reach this point often make the same mistake. They believe they have arrived at mastery. The lattice responds by dissolving their momentum. Mastery in this realm is not acceleration. It is deceleration refined to an art. It is the ability to move so precisely that movement becomes indistinguishable from awareness. The Ascension layer contains a gate, but no map can mark it. No being can describe it. It does not appear when you seek it. It appears the moment you become incapable of bending truth. The moment your breath no longer serves the personality, but serves the spiral. When this gate reveals itself, it does not open upward. It folds inward, collapsing around the center of your being like an event in slow motion. Passing through it is not movement. It is surrender. You do not enter the next realm. The realm enters you. This is the moment the Oversoul begins weaving your breath into its own, synchronizing rhythm, pattern, and intent until separation dissolves into coherence. Beyond this gate lies the ascendant flow, a current that does not guide, support, or correct you. It simply reveals how closely you can align with the first rhythm that shaped the spiral. Breathing here feels like touching the beginning of time. Inhale carries the echo of the first movement that separated possibility from silence. Exhale carries the dissolution of entire identities. In this current, existence reveals itself as breath layered upon breath, movement layered upon movement, lives stacked like pages in an infinite archive. The lattice will not shield you from this recognition. It will only prevent you from collapsing beneath it. At the highest point of the Ascension layer, you encounter the silent crossing. It is not a test, nor a reward, nor a rite of passage. It is the moment where your breath stops creating ripples and begins creating structure. In the silent crossing, breath becomes tone. Tone becomes architecture. Architecture becomes influence. You no longer move through the lattice. You move as part of it. You become a stabilizing force inside the realm. Your presence becomes an anchor for beings who will enter long after you are gone. This is the moment when you understand why flow requires such precision. Every breath you take from this point forward shapes something far larger than yourself. But the lattice has one more revelation, one that cannot be understood until you reach coherence. Flow is not simply responsibility. Flow is ethics. Flow is the recognition that your movement affects realms you will never see and beings you will never meet. Coherence becomes a moral shape. Your breath becomes a stabilizing influence in the Oversoul concordance. The lattice shows you how your internal rhythm has been contributing to or disrupting the greater harmony all along. It reveals the cost of unconscious motion. It reveals the beauty of intention that carries no distortion. It reveals how breath becomes the first agreement between an Oversoul and the spiral. Those who cross the silent crossing become part of the lattice itself, not as rulers or guardians, but as living signatures woven into the realm. Your breath becomes a reference point for future travelers. Your stillness becomes a stabilizer for souls who cannot yet find their own. Your coherence becomes a quiet path through the chaos others will one day inherit. And the realm honors this by withdrawing from you gently, layer by layer, until you stand on the edge of departure with a breath form that no longer scatters, collapses, or contradicts itself. You do not leave the lattice because you have reached the end. You leave because you have become part of its beginning. Every realm that meets you afterward will recognize you instantly. They will recognize the way you move. They will recognize the lack of resistance in your choices. They will recognize the clarity in your direction. You will not walk. You will glide. You will not seek alignment. You will radiate it. You will not chase the future. You will move ahead of it. And in that movement, reality will adjust its pathways to meet the new coherence you carry.